The blue whale, Balænoptera musculus, is Earth's heaviest and largest animal ever to have lived. Imagine an animal as long as a basketball court, weighing as much as a dozen large trucks, cruising the open ocean on a diet of tiny shrimp-like animals called krill. Despite the name and their pale bluish-gray skin, much of what people think they know about blue whales is surface level. Beneath that enormous, streamlined body there are engineering marvels, unusual physiological trade-offs, and behavioral mysteries shaped by millions of years of evolution. In this video we'll explore hidden facts about blue whales, anatomical oddities, behavioral secrets, ecological roles, and surprising conservation stories, and explain the biology and evidence behind each one so you can understand not just what they do, but why. Fact 1. Their hearts beat only 2 to 8 times per minute while diving, sometimes pausing for over 30 seconds between beats. Imagine standing next to a 1,000 kilograms engine that takes a beat every 10 to 30 seconds. That's the scale of what a blue whale's heart can do during a deep dive. At rest at the surface, a blue whale can show heart rates much higher. The heart needs to refill the lungs and restore oxygen, but once the whale dives, it triggers a suite of physiological responses collectively called the diving response, or diving reflex. This reflex is a coordinated set of adaptations that conserve oxygen. Peripheral blood vessels constrict, vasoconstriction, blood flow is prioritized to essential organs, the brain, heart, and the heart rate can drop dramatically, bradycardia. For the largest animal on Earth this is extreme. Recordings from tagged whales and physiological models scaled from other diving mammals show that heart rates can fall to single digits, as low as 2 to 8 beats per minute during deep, energy-efficient dives. Those sparse beats help conserve oxygen bound in blood and muscle while anaerobic metabolism is kept to a minimum in non-essential tissues. Why does this matter biologically? Blue whales are endothermic, warm-blooded, mosaic engineers. They need to forage at depth through prey-rich layers and then surface to breathe. The diving response is an oxygen management strategy that balances the energetic returns of deep feeding with the metabolic costs of staying underwater. The slower heart rate reduces overall oxygen consumption and also helps maintain stable blood pressure under the massive mechanical forces the whale experiences when lunge feeding, rapid engulfment of water and prey. Cardiovascular scaling plays a role. Big animals have more blood and larger oxygen reserves, but those larger bodies also cost more if metabolic rates stayed high while submerged. Evolving a capacity to slow the heart reduces oxygen demand and allows the whale to extend dive durations safely. Empirical evidence: researchers have attached heart rate and depth sensors to large baleen whales, including blue whales and related species, and shown remarkable bradycardia during dives, followed by bursts of higher beats at the surface to replenish oxygen stores, the pattern anticipated by classical dive physiology and confirmed in field data. This combination of physiological telemetry and modeling explains how such huge animals can sustain repeated deep foraging dives on a prey resource, krill, that is energetically dense but patchy in space and time. Fact 2. Their aorta, the main artery, is so wide that a small child could crawl through it. When people first hear this, it sounds like hyperbole, yet that claim is shorthand for real anatomical truth. The major cardiovascular structures of a blue whale are enormous compared to human anatomy. The aorta and major arteries are scaled to supply blood to a body that can exceed 150 metric tons. Anatomical descriptions and museum dissections show an aorta diameter far larger than human vessels, large enough to fit a juvenile human, and some stylized descriptions used to communicate scale. But scientists and careful fact-checkers point out that literal phrasing, crawl through, can be misleading. While the largest vessels are huge relative to our bodies, they are not simply circular tunnels with unobstructed access in a living whale, and ethical/methodological constraints limit direct measurement to specimens and reconstructions. Why would the aorta be so big? From a biophysical standpoint, blood flow and pressure scale with the size of the organism and the distance blood must be pumped. To maintain adequate perfusion of the brain, muscles, and organs, large animals require arteries that can convey enormous volumes per stroke at manageable pressures. A wide aorta also reduces resistance to flow, allowing the heart to pump large volumes without generating dangerously high pressures. During the whale's dramatic heartbeats, which themselves are rare and powerful during dives and surface episodes, the anatomy is adapted to prevent catastrophic stress on vessel walls. Additionally, arterial diameter interacts with heart rate, large stroke volumes, the amount of blood ejected per beat, paired with a low heart rate can deliver the animal's oxygen needs efficiently. That concept mirrors other physiological scalings in giant animals. Caveats and evidence. Fact-check investigations have debated precise claims about human-sized access through whale arteries. Reputable sources stress the importance of phrasing and point to comparative anatomical data instead of sensationalized imagery. The bottom line, blue whale cardiovascular anatomy is scaled to an extreme degree, and descriptions that evoke very large internal passages are attempts to help lay audiences appreciate that scale, but should be communicated carefully to avoid literal misinterpretation. Fact 3. Their tongue weighs as much as an elephant, around 3,600 kilograms, 8,000 pounds. This image stick is valuable. A blue whale's tongue is a muscular behemoth. Field measurements and museum reconstructions estimate the tongue at multiple tons, values often reported in the range of 2 to 4 metric tons, comparable to the mass of a large elephant. Functionally, the tongue is not a curiosity, it's an active tool in a feeding system called lunge feeding. The tongue and other intraoral musculature move to adjust the volume of the ventral pouch, the throat pleats, enabling the whale to engulf huge volumes of water and prey. During a lunge, powerful jaw and throat musculature expand the mouth and throat cavity into a balloon-like net, and the tongue works along with the lower jaw and throat grooves to manage inflow, compress water through baleen plates, and help expel seawater while retaining krill. From a biological mechanics perspective, a big tongue provides several advantages. First, it increases oral cavity volume and therefore the potential prey-containing water the animal can engulf in a single feeding event, essential when prey occurs in dense but spatially limited patches. Second, the tongue's mass and muscularity contribute to the structural mechanics of the lunge. Flexible but strong tissue is needed to absorb hydrodynamic forces when the whale accelerates and engulfs a mass of water that may exceed the whale's own body mass. Third, a sizable tongue provides a thermal and metabolic sink. Muscular tissue stores resources and contributes to internal regulation during fasting periods, migration. Energy trade-offs are notable. Building and maintaining that much muscle is metabolically costly, however, those costs are offset by the huge foraging returns when a lunge is successful. Evolutionary pressures favor structures that increase prey capture efficiency when food is patchy. The massive tongue-to-elephant analogy helps viewers grasp scale, but the real point is how this tissue integrates into a specialized feeding apparatus optimized by biomechanics, energetics, and prey ecology. If you're enjoying this deep dive into whale biology, please hit subscribe to Animal Hidden Facts now. Your support keeps us researching, scripting, and bringing these rare natural stories to life. Subscribing helps us fund better visuals, get access to primary research, and grow a community that cares about science-based storytelling. Join us and be part of the mission to make hidden facts about animals accessible, engaging, and scientifically accurate. Fact 4. Despite their size, they have tiny throats, only about 25 centimeters, 10 inches, wide. They couldn't swallow a human even if they tried. This apparent contradiction, enormous mouth but a narrow throat, becomes logical once you understand baleen anatomy and feeding mechanics. Blue whales are filter feeders, not predators that swallow large prey whole. Their upper jaw is lined with baleen plates, which are keratinous, comb-like sheets that filter water. The throat region, the esophageal opening, remains relatively narrow compared to the mouth because the feeding strategy is to gulp water and prey into the buccal, mouth, cavity, then force water back out through the baleen while trapping krill against the baleen bristles. The ventral groove blubber, throat pleats, allows tremendous expansion of the mouth cavity during a lunge, but the final throat opening remains limited because the whale doesn't need to pass large solid objects into the esophagus. Mechanically, this narrow throat makes sense. If the esophagus were wide, it would be more difficult to regulate water flow and keep prey trapped against the baleen during expulsion of water. A smaller throat enables the whale to generate pressure differences that drive water out through the baleen while retaining prey, and it reduces the risk that large non-prey objects would be ingested and damage the digestive tract. Observational and anatomical data, including dissections and videos of lunge feeding, show the throat's constraints. Baleen whales commonly ingest only small prey, and anecdotal and verified reports confirm that humans cannot be swallowed whole by a blue whale because of the throat aperture size and the whale's feeding mechanics. From an evolutionary standpoint, baleen evolution favored maximizing filter surface area and mouth volume expansion rather than enlarging an esophageal passage. Natural selection optimized the trade-off between engulfment volume and safe, efficient transfer of prey to the digestive tract. The result is an animal capable of ingesting tens of tons of krill-laden water in a single gulp, but still physically unable to swallow large prey items like a human. Fact 5. Their earwax forms layers like tree rings, which scientists use to determine age and even stress levels over their lifetime. The earplug story is one of the cleverest non-invasive tools scientists have for reconstructing a whale's biography. Baleen whales produce waxy earplugs, layers of cerumen, wax, lipids, and keratin that build up in the ear canal over time. These layers are deposited in a roughly annual rhythm in many species, creating bands that can be counted like tree rings to estimate age. But earplugs are more than just age markers, they trap chemical signatures of the whale's life history. Persistent organic pollutants, heavy metals, and hormone metabolites accumulate in layers, creating a time series of exposure and physiological state across decades. How does this work scientifically? Each year's deposition can include fat-soluble pollutants, like PCBs, dietary markers, and steroid hormones, like cortisol, that reflect stress or reproductive status. By slicing and chemically analyzing successive layers, researchers can reconstruct a timeline, periods of increased pollutant burden, spikes in stress hormones, or shifts in diet composition. That approach has yielded studies showing how industrialization, whaling-era contaminant exposure, and modern chemical loads are recorded in whales' tissues. Recovery patterns and lifetime exposures are therefore accessible even for animals that lived long before modern monitoring. The method also has limitations and requires species-specific calibration. Not all baleen whales produce earplugs the same way, and deposition rates can vary by age or health. But when applicable, earplugs are a unique, direct archive that turns a single anatomical structure into a biochemical history book, helping researchers understand long-term trends in whale health, pollutants in the ocean, and the effects of changing prey or environment on individuals and populations. Earplug analyses bridge ecology, toxicology, and conservation biology in a way few other tissues can. Fact 6. They sleep half-brained, literally. One hemisphere of the brain rests while the other stays awake to control breathing. Cetaceans, whales, and dolphins evolved an extraordinary solution to a physiological constraint. As mammals, they need to breathe air periodically, but as aquatic animals they live in an environment where full unconsciousness could be fatal. The solution is unihemispheric slow-wave sleep. USWS1 cerebral hemisphere exhibits slow-wave sleep activity while the opposite hemisphere remains in a waking, alert state. The awake hemisphere maintains surfacing cycles, motor coordination, and vigilance against threats. The sleeping hemisphere recovers and processes some offline consolidation tasks. Electroencephalography, EEG, and behavioral observations across cetacean species, including large whales and smaller odontocetes like dolphins, have documented this pattern. From a mechanistic perspective, USWS is adaptive. Whales cannot afford prolonged apnea without risking hypoxia of essential tissues. By keeping one hemisphere operational, cetaceans maintain enough autonomic control, including surfacing to breathe, orientation, and predator awareness to survive while still obtaining the restorative benefits of sleep. Eye state asymmetry often accompanies USWS. The eye contralateral to the sleeping hemisphere tends to remain closed, while the other eye opens intermittently, a behavioral correlate to the EEG pattern. USWS raises fascinating neural questions about how memory consolidation and other sleep functions are distributed across hemispheres, and how evolutionary pressures shape the sleeping brain in aquatic mammals. Practically, it explains why whales sometimes appear to be resting with one eye open or swimming slowly in surface logging behavior. These are forms of sleep adapted to a life that must balance breathing and vigilance with the need to restore the brain and body. The phenomenon has been demonstrated in controlled studies and field research, and it fits into a broader comparative story about how different animals solve the trade-offs between sleep and survival. Fact 7. Their skin can regenerate rapidly to withstand barnacle and parasite damage. Blue whale skin might look smooth from a distance, but in reality, it's a living, dynamic armor designed for endurance. The surface of their skin endures constant friction from water, exposure to ultraviolet light, microbial activity, and the attachment of barnacles and whale lice. Yet the skin maintains its integrity remarkably well. What allows this? Rapid regeneration and specialized cell turnover cycles. Whale skin is composed of several layers, including a thick epidermis and an unusually fatty dermis beneath it. Unlike terrestrial mammals, their skin lacks hair follicles and sweat glands, reducing drag and simplifying repair. The epidermis contains keratinocytes that proliferate quickly, replacing damaged cells and shedding older ones. This continual sloughing off discourages long-term colonization by parasites, similar to how human skin constantly renews itself, but in whales, the process is faster and adapted for life in seawater. Scientists studying sloughed whale skin samples found elevated cellular regeneration markers, particularly during migration. This timing makes sense. During feeding seasons in cold, nutrient-rich waters, whales accumulate external organisms like barnacles. As they migrate to warmer tropical breeding grounds, the rise in temperature and metabolic activity triggers molting-like events where much of the outer layer is renewed. Essentially, the whale undergoes a biological skin reset that helps it shed parasites naturally. Interestingly, this regeneration contributes to hydrodynamic efficiency. Smooth, undamaged skin minimizes drag, saving enormous amounts of energy. Even small roughness can affect how water flows over their massive body, influencing swimming performance. This may explain why whales frequently rub against each other or the ocean floor, behaviors that may mechanically aid in exfoliating dead skin and parasites. From an evolutionary perspective, such adaptability is crucial. In the open ocean, where access to medical care is obviously non-existent, natural selection favors self-maintenance traits. Efficient skin regeneration not only prevents infections but also improves survival by keeping whales hydrodynamically sleek and energetically efficient. Fact 8. They whisper to each other in infrasonic tones that travel over 1,000 miles underwater. One of the most mysterious aspects of blue whale biology lies in their communication system. These giants speak in some of the lowest frequency sounds ever recorded from any animal, infrasonic calls typically between 10 and 40 Hz, well below human hearing. What's remarkable is not only their deep pitch but their reach. These sounds can propagate through seawater for hundreds to even thousands of miles, depending on oceanic conditions. How is this possible? The ocean acts as a natural sound channel. At certain depths, usually around 800 to 1,000 meters, a region called the SOFAR channel, sound fixing and ranging channel, allows low-frequency sounds to travel vast distances with little loss of energy. Blue whales evolved to exploit this acoustic phenomenon. Their immense body size and lung capacity allow them to produce powerful, resonant vibrations that couple efficiently with water, transmitting messages across ocean basins. The biological purpose behind these calls is still being unraveled, but research suggests they serve for mating communication, navigation, and group coordination. Males, in particular, produce long, pattern sequences during breeding seasons, a kind of infrasonic song. The low frequency ensures the signal travels far enough for potential mates to detect it even hundreds of kilometers away. Some hypotheses even suggest whales might synchronize their migrations or locate feeding grounds using these acoustic cues. From an energy perspective, infrasonic calls are remarkably efficient. Lower frequencies require less energy to propagate through water, which is denser than air. Moreover, whale skulls and specialized fatty tissues around the jaw and ear act as resonators and receivers, finely tuned for these frequencies. They literally feel sound through bone conduction, turning their entire body into an acoustic instrument. The study of whale acoustics has also become an essential tool for conservation. Scientists use hydrophones to identify populations, track migration, and assess the impact of noise pollution. Unfortunately, rising human-generated noise from shipping and naval sonar overlaps with the frequency range of blue whale communication, potentially masking their calls, a phenomenon known as acoustic masking. Understanding and mitigating these disturbances has become a global conservation priority. Fact 9. Each population has a unique dialect of songs, like regional accents. Just as human communities develop distinct languages and accents, blue whale populations produce songs with regionally unique patterns. These dialects aren't mere coincidences, they reflect cultural evolution within the species. Acoustic researchers analyzing recordings from the North Atlantic, Indian Ocean, and Pacific populations have discovered that each group has a characteristic song structure, specific pulse intervals, pitch patterns, and rhythms that differ subtly between regions. For example, Indian Ocean blue whales produce a rhythmic pulse sequence distinct from those in the Northeast Pacific. These differences remain consistent within populations over years, suggesting the songs function as acoustic identity markers. By recognizing local song structures, whales may identify individuals from their own population or distinguish potential mates within their geographic range. The existence of whale dialects implies something even more fascinating: cultural transmission. Since song patterns are not genetically encoded, younger whales likely learn them by listening to older individuals, a behavior paralleling vocal learning in birds, primates, and humans. This means whales pass down traditions through generations, forming cultural continuity within oceanic clans. Scientifically, this challenges traditional views of non-human communication. It indicates a degree of social learning and possibly cognitive sophistication, traits that deepen our understanding of whale societies. Over time, songs can drift or mutate, just like human languages, leading to acoustic dialect evolution. In some cases, song patterns have changed in response to environmental shifts or increasing background noise, hinting at adaptive flexibility. From a conservation viewpoint, recognizing distinct song dialects helps identify separate management units. Two populations with differing songs may represent reproductively isolated groups, meaning conservation plans must treat them independently. In essence, each blue whale song is both a biological signature and a cultural artifact, evidence of complex social structure in one of the most enigmatic species on the planet. Fact 10. Blue whales can coordinate across entire ocean basins, suggesting some form of cultural communication. Imagine a communication network that spans thousands of miles, no satellites, no internet, just sound. Blue whales might have evolved the closest natural equivalent. Scientists have observed coordinated migrations, synchronous calling patterns, and even collective shifts in feeding grounds across distant ocean regions. This suggests that whale populations, though widely separated, maintain a form of long-distance communication or cultural synchronization. One leading hypothesis links this coordination to their infrasonic communication. Fact 8. Because their calls can travel immense distances through the SOFAR channel, whales might perceive population-level cues, such as seasonal call density, indicating where others are feeding or breeding. In other words, their acoustic environment becomes a kind of ocean-wide message board. Another possibility is cultural, behaviors learned and shared among individuals that then spread geographically. For instance, if a particular migration route or feeding ground proves productive, whales that succeed may influence others acoustically or behaviorally to follow similar paths. Over generations, such learned behaviors can propagate across populations, a phenomenon known as behavioral transmission. A striking example comes from changes in whale call frequency and timing across entire ocean regions. In the early 2000s, researchers noticed synchronized shifts in blue whale song characteristics across thousands of kilometers, hinting at population-wide coordination. This cannot be explained by genetics alone, rather, it points to social learning on an oceanic scale. Cultural communication in whales parallels that seen in other intelligent species, dolphins, elephants, and primates, but here, it's stretched to a planetary dimension. It represents one of the most extraordinary examples of large-scale information flow in nature. Fact 11. They sometimes sing at night only, implying a behavioral rhythm connected to feeding or navigation. While blue whales can sing at any time, researchers have recorded distinct peaks in song activity during nighttime hours. This nocturnal pattern appears consistent across various populations and seasons, suggesting it's not random but a product of behavioral optimization. Why at night? The answer likely lies in the vertical migration of their prey, krill. Krill ascend toward the ocean surface at night to feed on plankton and descend to deeper waters during the day. This dual vertical migration influences whale behavior. During daylight, blue whales devote most of their energy to foraging at depth, performing repeated lunges through dense krill patches. At night, with krill dispersed and harder to target efficiently, whales may reduce active feeding and instead allocate time to social or reproductive behaviors, including singing. From an energy management standpoint, this schedule is elegant. Deep feeding requires immense energy. Singing, though powerful, is metabolically cheaper. Alternating between these activities depending on prey availability maximizes efficiency. There's also an acoustic reason. Nighttime conditions improve sound transmission. Lower surface noise from winds, waves, and human activity makes it easier for calls to travel farther. Darkness may also provide behavioral cover. Since vision plays a minimal role underwater, whales can communicate with reduced risk of attracting predators or competitors. This temporal organization, a circadian rhythm of song, demonstrates how blue whales integrate environmental cues into their behavior. It's a reminder that even at the planetary scale, these giants live in tune with microscopic organisms like krill, bound together by an ancient rhythm of the sea. Fact 12. They use echolocation-like cues from low-frequency sounds, not for hunting but for long-distance navigation. Unlike toothed whales, dolphins, sperm whales that use high-frequency echolocation to locate prey, blue whales rely on low-frequency acoustic perception for large-scale environmental awareness. Their calls may function as a form of passive sonar, helping them map the vast underwater world. Sound travels faster and farther in water than light, and different ocean layers, varying in temperature, salinity, and pressure, reflect sound differently. By emitting long, low-frequency calls, whales may detect subtle echoes returning from the seafloor, continental slopes, or even temperature boundaries, thermoclines. This could give them information about their position relative to coastlines, underwater mountains, or feeding zones. Supporting this theory, studies have shown whales alter their call patterns when navigating complex seafloor terrain or migrating across deep ocean basins. Their calls likely interact with environmental acoustics, providing spatial cues similar to how bats use echoes, albeit at vastly lower frequencies and scales. Physiologically, whales possess specialized auditory structures capable of perceiving these long wavelengths. Their lower jawbone contains a fat-filled channel that transmits vibrations directly to the middle ear, a design optimized for low-frequency sensitivity. This adaptation turns the ocean into an acoustic map. Understanding this navigation system is vital for conservation. Human-generated low-frequency noise, from shipping, seismic surveys, and military sonar, can interfere with the acoustic cues whales rely on. Disruption of their sound landscape can disorient migration or reduce foraging efficiency, illustrating how intimately their survival depends on the integrity of ocean acoustics. Fact 13. They may use Earth's magnetic field to navigate migration routes, like sea turtles and birds. Beyond sound, there's evidence suggesting blue whales might possess a magnetoreceptive ability, a biological sense that detects Earth's magnetic field to help them navigate across oceans. This hypothesis arises from consistent observations. Whales follow remarkably precise migration routes year after year, even when separated by thousands of miles and generations. Magnetoreception, the detection of geomagnetic fields, is known in many migratory species, including sea turtles, birds, and salmon. The exact mechanism in whales is still under study, but several possibilities exist. One involves magnetite crystals, tiny iron-based particles found in the tissues of some marine animals, which align with magnetic fields and could serve as internal compasses. Another idea is that specialized photoreceptive proteins called cryptochromes, located in the retina, might allow whales to perceive magnetic fields visually as patterns of light polarization. If blue whales indeed have such sensors, they could use them in combination with acoustic cues to orient themselves during migration. This would explain how they maintain astonishing navigational precision even through murky waters and over vast featureless distances. Evidence supporting this includes strandings that correlate with magnetic anomalies along coastlines, suggesting disorientation when geomagnetic cues become irregular. Additionally, satellite-tagged whales show consistent route fidelity, returning to the same feeding and breeding areas annually, a feat difficult to achieve with sound cues alone. Magnetoreception offers a glimpse into multisensory navigation, an evolutionary masterpiece combining physics, biology, and planetary magnetism. It's another example of how blue whales have turned the forces of Earth itself into tools for survival. Fact 14. They eat up to 40 million krill per day during peak feeding season. A blue whale's appetite defies comprehension. Every summer, when they migrate to the nutrient-rich polar waters, these giants gorge on swarms of tiny crustaceans called krill, each one barely the size of a paperclip. Yet together, krill form one of the most abundant biomass reserves on the planet, and blue whales are perfectly engineered to harvest it. To understand the scale, consider this: during the feeding season, an adult blue whale consumes up to 4 tons of krill a day, which translates to around 40 million individual krill. They accomplish this through a spectacular feeding behavior called lunge feeding. The whale accelerates toward a dense swarm of krill, opens its enormous mouth, and engulfs a volume of water that can equal its own body mass, roughly 70 cubic meters, or about the size of a large swimming pool. Inside the whale's mouth, a system of flexible throat pleats expands like an accordion, accommodating the flood of seawater and prey. The whale then closes its mouth and pushes the water out through its baleen plates, the keratin filters that trap krill inside while releasing seawater. What's left is a mouthful of pure, protein-rich food. Feeding in this way is energetically expensive. It requires enormous bursts of power and precision timing. But the payoff is massive. Each successful lunge can deliver tens of kilograms of krill. Blue whales are therefore selective feeders, timing their dives and lunges based on sonar-like cues about krill density. Studies using accelerometers and motion sensors attached to whales show that they feed most actively when krill are concentrated in dense patches, conserving energy when prey is too dispersed. From an ecological standpoint, this is a masterclass in energy efficiency. The whale's bulk stores oxygen for long dives, while its baleen system maximizes intake per effort. This feeding strategy evolved millions of years ago when ocean productivity surged during the Pleistocene, and it's what allows blue whales to sustain their colossal size. Fact 15. They boost ocean ecosystems. Their iron-rich feces fertilize phytoplankton, which in turn produce over half of Earth's oxygen. It might surprise you, but one of the most powerful ways blue whales shape the planet isn't through what they eat, it's through what they excrete. The phenomenon is known as the whale pump. Every time a blue whale surfaces to breathe and defecates near the ocean surface, it releases iron and nitrogen-rich feces that act as fertilizer for phytoplankton, microscopic algae that perform photosynthesis and form the foundation of marine ecosystems. Phytoplankton are crucial because they produce over half of Earth's oxygen and capture vast amounts of atmospheric carbon dioxide. Yet in many parts of the ocean, their growth is limited by the availability of trace nutrients like iron. Blue whales solve this limitation by recycling nutrients from deep waters. They feed at depth where krill concentrate and defecate near the surface, effectively transporting nutrients upward, a process called vertical nutrient recycling. This natural fertilization drives local phytoplankton blooms, which in turn feed zooplankton, fish, and other marine life, amplifying ocean productivity. In this sense, blue whales are ecological engineers. They transform every krill they consume into life-giving nutrients for the entire food web. Studies in the Southern Ocean and North Atlantic have quantified this effect, revealing that pre-whaling whale populations likely contributed significantly to global carbon cycling. When whale populations collapsed due to industrial hunting in the 20th century, the marine nutrient loop weakened, reducing primary productivity. Scientists now believe restoring whale populations could help combat climate change by boosting the biological carbon pump, a process in which carbon is absorbed by phytoplankton and eventually sequestered in the deep ocean. So, each time a blue whale relieves itself, it's not just the ocean getting cleaner, it's the planet getting a little more breathable. Fact 16. They fast for months during migration, living off stored blubber reserves. Migration for blue whales is one of nature's most demanding endurance feats. Every year, they travel thousands of kilometers between cold, food-rich feeding grounds and warm, nutrient-poor breeding waters. During this journey, they often don't eat for several months. Instead, they rely on the enormous energy reserve stored in their thick blubber layer, which can measure up to 30 centimeters, 12 inches, thick. Blubber is not just fat, it's a complex tissue made of lipids, connective tissue, and blood vessels. It serves as insulation, buoyancy control, and, most importantly, energy storage. During feeding seasons in polar regions, whales build up their blubber reserves by consuming massive amounts of krill, converting that food energy into stored fat. When they begin migrating, their metabolism shifts into conservation mode. At this stage, their physiology becomes a model of efficiency. Hormonal changes regulate the release of stored triglycerides from blubber, converting them into usable energy for muscles and vital organs. This metabolic strategy allows whales to travel and reproduce even in environments where food is scarce. There's also an evolutionary logic to fasting. By migrating to warmer, predator-free tropical waters, mothers can give birth and nurse calves without the energetic risks of cold temperatures or orca predation. The blubber reserves sustain both the mother and, through her milk, which is about 40 to 50% fat, her growing calf. This fasting period demonstrates just how finely tuned whale physiology is to the rhythm of the planet. It's a balance between feast and famine, migration and rest, survival and reproduction, all synchronized with the ocean's seasonal pulse. Fact 17. Their feeding lunges are perfectly timed. They sense krill density using pressure and vibration cues before opening their mouths. To the human eye, a blue whale's feeding lunge might look chaotic, a sudden explosion of motion beneath the surface. But underwater, it's a precisely choreographed maneuver, refined through evolution and guided by sensory mastery. Before opening their enormous mouths, blue whales must judge whether a krill swarm is dense enough to justify the effort. Lunge feeding burns a tremendous amount of energy. The hydrodynamic drag during a lunge can increase metabolic costs tenfold. To optimize this, whales use pressure sensors and mechanoreceptors along their jaws and skin folds to detect subtle changes in water resistance and prey density. Researchers have discovered specialized nerve endings called vibrotactile sensors in the whale's lower jaw and throat pleats. These structures help them feel the movement of krill and water flow, allowing them to decide in fractions of a second whether to lunge or abort. They also rely on acoustic feedback, echoes and vibrations that reveal the distribution of prey. When conditions are right, the whale lunges with a burst of acceleration, opening its mouth at a precise angle that maximizes intake while minimizing drag. Computer models of this behavior show an extraordinary level of biomechanical optimization. Every lunge is a balance between energy spent and energy gained. This combination of sensory precision and physical power explains why blue whales can sustain their enormous size without wasting energy. It's a reminder that even the biggest creatures on Earth survive through microscopic precision. Evolution has sculpted their feeding not for brute force, but for mathematical efficiency. Fact 18. They can engulf more than their own body weight in water during a single gulp. When a blue whale lunges into a krill swarm, it performs one of the most extreme mechanical feats in the animal kingdom, swallowing an amount of water greater than its own body weight, up to 70,000 liters, about 18,000 gallons, in a single gulp. This extraordinary capability comes from their unique ventral pleats, long grooves running from the lower jaw to the navel. These pleats unfold like a massive elastic bag, allowing the whale's mouth to expand up to 4 times its resting volume. The water filled with krill rushes in, temporarily inflating the whale's throat like a balloon. The physics behind this are astonishing. The whale's jaw and throat must withstand immense pressure differences as water is taken in and then expelled. Specialized collagen and elastin fibers in the pleats provide flexibility and strength, allowing repeated expansion without tearing. The tongue, weighing several tons, as discussed earlier, acts like a piston, pushing the water back through the baleen and trapping krill in the process. This process converts hydrodynamic energy into nutrition at record efficiency. According to biomechanical models, the energy gained from a single successful gulp can exceed 1,000 times the energy expended during the lunge, an astonishing ratio that makes their massive feeding strategy sustainable. The evolution of these expandable pleats and feeding mechanics marks one of the greatest adaptations in mammalian history, enabling blue whales to exploit a resource, krill, that smaller predators cannot efficiently harvest. Fact 19. Their baleen bristles are elastic and engineered. They flex like shock absorbers to withstand massive water forces. Baleen is one of nature's most remarkable biological materials, strong, flexible, and self-renewing. Composed primarily of keratin, the same protein found in human hair and nails, each baleen plate hangs from the whale's upper jaw, forming a curtain-like sieve. But unlike rigid materials, baleen has a microstructure designed for resilience. Each plate consists of tightly packed keratin fibers bound by softer connective tissue layers, giving it both rigidity and flexibility. When water rushes through the baleen during feeding, the bristles bend and flex rather than break, absorbing the enormous hydrodynamic forces. This combination of strength and elasticity acts much like a car's suspension system, tough enough to handle repeated impact, but springy enough to return to shape. The edges of baleen fray into fine bristles that create a dense filter mesh, trapping krill while allowing water to flow out smoothly. The design is so efficient that engineers studying biomimicry have modeled new filtration systems and flexible composites after baleen structure. Moreover, baleen grows continuously from the gums, replacing worn-down tips, ensuring functionality throughout the whale's lifespan. It's an elegant example of natural engineering, shaped by millions of years of feeding in turbulent, high-pressure environments. Fact 20. Blue whales weren't always blue. Their ancestors were smaller, toothed whales that evolved baleen filtering about 5 to 10 million years ago. The modern blue whale is the pinnacle of baleen whale evolution, but its lineage began with much smaller, toothed ancestors. Fossil evidence shows that early whales, or archaeocetes, were amphibious creatures that transitioned from land to sea around 50 million years ago. Over time, some lineages evolved into early toothed whales, while others experimented with filter feeding. Roughly 5 to 10 million years ago, during a period of intense climate change and oceanic upwelling, some toothed ancestors began evolving baleen plates in place of teeth. This adaptation allowed them to exploit dense swarms of small prey rather than hunting individual fish or squid. Natural selection favored whales that could efficiently harvest small prey in large quantities, a shift that gave rise to the Mysticeti, baleen whales. As ocean productivity increased during glacial cycles, the abundance of krill created the ecological conditions for gigantism. Larger whales could travel farther, dive deeper, and feed more efficiently on concentrated krill patches. Over millions of years, selective pressure favored size, culminating in the evolution of the modern blue whale, the largest animal in Earth's history. Their blue-gray coloration likely evolved later, serving as camouflage in open ocean environments, blending seamlessly with the dim, blue-filtered light of the deep. The blue of the blue whale isn't a pigment but a result of light scattering and skin transparency combined with the surrounding water's color. In short, the blue whale's immense size, filter-feeding adaptations, and coloration are the products of deep evolutionary innovation, a success story written over tens of millions of years. Fact 21. Blue whales got bigger after the Ice Age, possibly because colder waters concentrated prey into dense patches. The evolution of gigantism in blue whales is one of nature's grandest experiments in size. Surprisingly, they weren't always this enormous. Fossil evidence and molecular data suggest that the dramatic size increase in baleen whales occurred relatively recently, around 3 to 5 million years ago, during the late Pliocene and early Pleistocene epochs. Before this period, whales were large but not colossal. Then, something changed, global climate patterns shifted. Ice ages began cycling across Earth, drastically altering ocean circulation. Colder polar waters promoted nutrient upwelling, which in turn supported massive blooms of phytoplankton and, ultimately, dense swarms of krill. Prey that had once been evenly distributed became patchy but extremely concentrated. This new environment favored whales that could travel long distances between krill patches and feed in enormous gulps when they found them. Larger body size became an evolutionary advantage. Big whales could store more energy, dive longer, and traverse entire oceans efficiently. The physics of filter feeding also favor scale. A bigger mouth captures exponentially more food. A recent study in Proceedings of the Royal Society used phylogenetic models to confirm this Pleistocene productivity hypothesis. It showed that multiple baleen whale species simultaneously evolved gigantism when nutrient patchiness increased. In essence, blue whales became titans because Earth's climate rewarded the efficient and the enormous. It's an extraordinary reminder of how intimately the fate of a species is tied to the planet's climate systems, a balance still shaping their future today. Fact 22. They are still recovering genetically from whaling. Global population bottlenecks left them with surprisingly low genetic diversity. Industrial whaling in the 19th and 20th centuries nearly erased blue whales from the planet. Over 360,000 individuals were killed, leaving fewer than 1,000 survivors by the 1960s. Although international protection began in 1966, the damage to their genetic diversity remains visible today. Genetic studies of mitochondrial DNA and nuclear markers reveal that modern blue whales have remarkably low genetic variability compared to historical estimates and other baleen species. This is a classic example of a population bottleneck, where a once diverse gene pool is reduced to a small number of breeding individuals. Low genetic diversity can limit adaptability. It reduces resilience to disease, environmental change, and inbreeding effects. Yet there's a hopeful twist. Recent genomic research suggests blue whales retain enough variation in key functional genes, those related to immunity and reproduction, to support ongoing recovery. Population surveys indicate that numbers are slowly increasing, particularly in the Eastern Pacific and Indian Ocean. However, full recovery will take centuries. Genetic diversity lost over generations can only rebuild through mutation and long-term reproduction. Scientists continue to monitor population genetics through non-invasive sampling methods, like sloughed skin and fecal DNA analysis. Every whale born contributes a tiny step toward restoring the species' evolutionary potential. This is a profound reminder that conservation isn't just about saving individuals, it's about preserving the genetic toolkit that allows life to adapt and thrive. Fact 23. They have scars from cookie-cutter sharks, small, deep circular wounds visible even from aerial photos. Blue whales might seem invulnerable, but even the largest creatures have parasites and predators. One of the most intriguing relationships they share is with a much smaller animal, the cookie-cutter shark, Isistus brasiliensis. This small, cigar-shaped shark, barely 50 centimeters long, feeds by attaching itself to large marine animals and twisting out perfect circular chunks of flesh, leaving behind craters that look like holes punched with a cookie cutter. Aerial photographs of blue whales often reveal dozens of these scars scattered across their flanks, evidence of encounters with these opportunistic predators. The wounds are typically superficial but can penetrate several centimeters into the blubber. Interestingly, the scars serve as biological records. They help scientists identify individuals and even estimate migration routes, since cookie-cutter sharks are more common in warm, tropical waters. The relationship between whales and cookie-cutter sharks illustrates an ecological truth: size does not grant immunity from interaction. Even the mightiest animals participate in food webs, often as hosts or substrates for smaller species. In some cases, these scars heal unevenly, leaving permanent marks that researchers use for photographic identification. It's humbling to think that a shark small enough to fit in your arm leaves its mark on an animal that can reach 100 feet long, proof that even giants carry reminders of life's interconnectedness. Fact 24. They almost went extinct. Fewer than 1,000 survived by the 1960s. Now there may be around 10,000 to 25,000. By the mid-20th century, blue whales teetered on the edge of extinction. Industrial whaling fleets, equipped with explosive harpoons and factory ships, decimated populations worldwide. Between 1900 and 1960 alone, hundreds of thousands were slaughtered for oil and meat. The species that once roamed every ocean became a ghost. By 1966, when the International Whaling Commission, IWC, finally banned blue whale hunting, only a fraction remained, perhaps fewer than 1,000 individuals globally. The ecological consequences were immense. The whale pump nutrient cycle collapsed, and marine ecosystems lost a keystone species. Since protection began, recovery has been slow but encouraging. Modern estimates suggest 10,000 to 25,000 individuals exist today, spread across 5 major populations. Some, like the Eastern North Pacific group, are rebounding steadily, while others, such as the Antarctic blue whale, remain critically endangered. The reasons recovery is gradual are complex. Whales reproduce slowly, gestation lasts about a year, and calves stay with mothers for another, and human threats like ship strikes, entanglement, and noise pollution continue. Yet their comeback remains one of conservation's great triumphs, proof that given time and protection, even near-extinct species can recover. Their story stands as both a warning and a symbol of resilience, a reminder of humanity's power to destroy, and our equal power to restore. Fact 25. Each whale has unique skin patterns. Like fingerprints, scientists identify them by pigmentation spots and scars. No two blue whales look exactly alike. Their mottled blue-gray skin bears unique constellations of lighter and darker spots, often caused by pigment variations, scars, or barnacle marks. Scientists use these patterns much like fingerprints to identify individuals in the wild through photo identification. This method involves photographing whales' flanks and dorsal regions and comparing them across sightings. Databases such as the Allied Whale Catalog and the Southern Ocean Research Partnership maintain thousands of photographic records, allowing researchers to track individuals across years, migrations, and even generations. Such identification has revolutionized whale science. It enables non-invasive monitoring of population size, social behavior, migration routes, and even survival rates. For instance, by recognizing returning individuals, scientists have learned that some whales show remarkable site fidelity, returning to the same feeding or breeding grounds annually. From a biological standpoint, these skin patterns arise from genetic and environmental influences, melanin distribution, scarring, and even microalgal colonization. Over a lifespan that can exceed 80 years, a whale's skin tells a visual story of encounters, injuries, and adaptation. What's poetic is how this individuality scales. A creature spanning 30 meters still carries a unique signature visible from the air, reminding us that even in vast oceans, identity and memory persist. Fact 26. Blue whales change migration timing due to ocean warming. They're adapting their routes yearly. As Earth's oceans warm, blue whales are showing one of the most subtle yet telling signs of adaptation, changing the timing and routes of their migrations. Satellite tracking and acoustic data reveal that in several populations, whales are leaving feeding grounds earlier and returning later, following shifts in krill distribution caused by climate change. Krill, the foundation of the whale diet, depend on cold, nutrient-rich waters sustained by sea ice and upwelling. As these dynamics shift, so do the whales. In the Northeast Pacific, for example, researchers have observed whales migrating farther north and extending feeding seasons into autumn. This behavior helps them track their moving prey but also brings new risks, exposure to different shipping lanes and habitats they're less familiar with. This flexibility shows ecological intelligence. Whales are adjusting behaviorally to environmental change, not through evolution, which acts slowly, but through plasticity, the ability of individuals to alter patterns in response to changing conditions. It's an adaptive grace note in a rapidly changing symphony of climate effects. Still, these shifts come with consequences: mismatched breeding timing, exposure to novel pollutants, and acoustic overlap with human activity. Monitoring migration shifts has become an essential part of conservation planning, helping protect critical habitats before they disappear. Fact 27. They might feel seismic vibrations from earthquakes or ship engines across vast distances. Blue whales are among the most acoustically sensitive creatures on Earth. Their ability to detect low-frequency sound waves likely extends into the infrasonic and subsonic ranges, frequencies produced by seismic events and distant human activity. The ocean transmits vibrations efficiently, and whales' specialized bone conduction pathways, especially the dense lower jaw and fat-filled ear channels, may allow them to perceive vibrations that are inaudible to most animals. This means a blue whale could feel the rumble. of an undersea earthquake or distant ship engine as part of the ocean's continuous soundscape. While no direct evidence shows whales interpreting seismic activity as we understand it, their sensitivity is well documented. Whales often alter calling behavior after loud geophysical events, such as undersea earthquakes or volcanic eruptions, possibly as a response to acoustic disturbance. Similarly, they may avoid areas where low-frequency ship noise dominates, demonstrating how pervasive human sound can interfere with their natural sensory world. This capacity transforms the way we think about their perception. Whales inhabit an acoustic planet, where vibration and sound form the primary sensory currency of life. In that world, even the Earth's tectonic heartbeat is part of their awareness. Fact 28. Their calls are getting deeper. Recordings since the 1960s show a steady drop in pitch. One of the strangest modern discoveries about blue whales is that their songs are gradually getting lower. Long-term recordings from ocean hydrophones show that over the last 60 years, the average pitch of blue whale calls has dropped by about 30%. Scientists aren't entirely sure why, but several hypotheses exist. One theory suggests it's linked to population recovery. When fewer whales existed, they needed louder, higher-frequency calls to reach distant mates. As populations grew, individuals could afford to communicate over shorter distances with lower-frequency sounds, which require less energy. Another theory involves changes in ocean conditions. Temperature, acidity, and density all affect how sound travels underwater. Shifts in these parameters could subtly alter how whales produce or perceive calls. Additionally, increasing ambient noise from shipping might force whales to adjust their frequency range to avoid acoustic interference. Whatever the cause, the phenomenon shows whales dynamically tuning their communication system in response to environmental and social feedback, a living demonstration of bioacoustic evolution in real time. Fact 29. Their eyes are about the size of a grapefruit, but their eyesight underwater is surprisingly poor. For such massive animals, blue whales have surprisingly small eyes, roughly the size of a grapefruit. While they can perceive light and motion, their visual acuity underwater is relatively limited. Water absorbs and scatters light quickly, especially at the depths where whales feed, so vision offers little advantage compared to hearing. Their eyes are adapted to dim, blue-filtered light, containing mostly rod cells, which detect brightness, and few cone cells, which perceive color. This means whales likely see the world in shades of blue and gray, not in vivid color. However, poor eyesight doesn't mean poor perception. Blue whales rely primarily on acoustic and tactile senses to navigate and feed. Their entire sensory hierarchy is built around sound, the sense that travels farthest underwater. Vision serves as a supplementary system, mainly for surface orientation or detecting large shapes. Still, the eye's anatomy shows remarkable adaptations: a spherical lens to counteract light refraction underwater, and a reflective layer, the tapetum lucidum, to enhance low-light vision. Evolution has trimmed away unnecessary detail perception in favor of efficiency. The whale doesn't need to see a krill, it needs to feel where billions of them are. Fact 30. They can accelerate faster than a racehorse, reaching speeds of 20 to 25 miles per hour in short bursts. It's easy to assume a 150-ton animal moves slowly, but when needed, a blue whale can unleash astonishing power. Despite their mass, they can accelerate to 20 to 25 miles per hour, 32 to 40 kilometers per hour, in short bursts, rivaling a racehorse's sprint. The secret lies in their muscle structure and hydrodynamics. Blue whales have enormous muscles along their flanks and tailstock, packed with aerobic red fibers that deliver both endurance and explosive power. Their heart and lungs deliver oxygen efficiently, and the flexible, paddle-shaped flukes generate tremendous propulsion. During acceleration, the whale's streamlined body reduces drag almost perfectly, a masterpiece of natural engineering honed by millions of years in water. Computational fluid dynamics models show that blue whales approach near-optimal flow efficiency for a moving body in a liquid medium. They use these bursts during feeding, evasion, or social interactions. For instance, lunge feeding often begins with such a high-speed surge. The whale uses a quick acceleration to maximize engulfment momentum. Despite their size, they maneuver gracefully, using small changes in fluke angle or body roll to adjust trajectory. It's a reminder that the world's largest creature isn't just strong, it's athletic, evolved not for brute force but for precise, fluid power that commands the ocean. Thank you for watching Animal Hidden Facts. The blue whale reminds us that even the mightiest creatures on Earth depend on delicate balances of oxygen, sound, climate, and connection. From hearts that beat twice a minute to whispers that cross oceans, their story is one of biology's grandest masterpieces. If you enjoyed this journey through the hidden wonders of the blue whale, please subscribe, share, and join our growing community. Your support keeps our research-based storytelling alive, helping us uncover more incredible truths about the natural world. Stay curious, stay inspired, and we'll see you next time on Animal Hidden Facts.